The galaxy was quiet now. Too quiet. No human voice, no human signal, no sign of the old blue planet that once sang across the stars. For thousands of years, silence had filled the space where once a proud race called humanity had lived. And then, something changed. A small silver ship glided through the darkness, a Threxian scout vessel. The Threxians were an intelligent alien race, tall and thin, with silver skin that shimmered like glass. They were explorers, scientists, collectors of lost history. For decades they had searched for signs of extinct species. Most of the time they found nothing, only ruins, dust, and broken satellites. But on this day, something unusual appeared on their scanners. Lieutenant Kira, the ship's sensor officer, noticed a faint pulse on her screen. It was old, weak, and almost gone. Yet it was there. "Commander Zyron," she said, her voice calm but curious. "I am detecting a signal. An ancient one." Zyron turned in his chair, his bright green eyes narrowing. "From where?" Kira hesitated. "From a planet in the Sol system. Designation. Earth." The control room went silent. Even the hum of the engines seemed to fade. Earth. That name was in every Threxian school archive, the world of myths and warnings. The place where the children of fire once lived. The species that rose fast reached for the stars, and then disappeared without a trace. No Threxian had ever found a living human. Not one. Commander Zyron stood slowly. "Set a course," he said. "We are going to Earth." The journey took several days. When the ship finally entered the old solar system, the crew stared in awe. The planets were still there, but they were cold and silent. Mars was covered in red dust. Jupiter's storms still raged endlessly. And Earth, once bright and blue, that now looked grey and broken. The oceans were dry. The cities were ruins. "Scans show no life signs," Kira reported. "Only echoes of metal and stone." But then the signal pulsed again. A slow repeating pattern. "Play it," Zyron ordered. At first only static filled the room, a crackling, whispering noise. Then a rhythm emerged, like a heartbeat buried in the noise. "It's repeating every 12 minutes, Kira said. "I think it's a message." Zyron leaned closer. "A message from who?" Kira smiled faintly. "From them." The crew followed the signal down to the surface. Their ship landed near a half-buried building marked with faded letters, NASA. Inside, the air was frozen and still. Dust floated like tiny stars. They moved carefully through the hall, scanning the walls. Old screens and machines lay in pieces, but one small terminal was still blinking, barely alive. A blue light pulsed on the surface, weak but steady. "This is the source," Kira said. Zyron touched the screen gently. "Activate playback." The terminal whirred. Static filled the speakers again. Then a voice broke through, and soft, tired, human. "If you are hearing this," the voice said. "We are gone." The aliens froze. None of them moved. The voice continued, slow and full of emotion. "This is humanity's last message. We leave this not as a warning, but as a memory. We were here, we lived. We dreamed." The crew exchanged looks. They could feel something strange, something they couldn't describe. Zyron whispered, "They knew they would die, but they still wanted to speak." The message ended suddenly. Then, after a pause, it began to loop again. "If you are hearing this, we are gone." Zyron ordered the signal to be copied to their ship. "We'll take it back for study," said the science officer. But Zyron shook his head. "No," he said softly. "We will listen first." As they flew back into orbit, the crew gathered around the main console. The message continued to play, bits of music, laughter, crying, and voices speaking in hundreds of languages. The Threxians listened in silence. They saw short clips of old Earth, blue skies, green forests, people smiling, children playing. They saw rockets launch, lights shine, and cities glow like stars. Kira's voice trembled. "They were beautiful." Zyron nodded slowly. "And yet they are gone." Outside the window, Earth hung quietly in the dark. "Our ghost planet." The commander looked at the hologram of the human face that appeared on the screen. A woman, middle-aged, her eyes full of sorrow. Her final words echoed across the ship. "To whoever finds this, please remember us. Learn from us. Carry our story to the stars." Silence filled the room again. No one spoke. Zyron finally said, "Set course for the Threxian Council. We must show them this." But as the engines roared to life, he couldn't stop staring at the dark planet below. For the first time in his life, he felt something new, something humans once called sadness, and somewhere, deep inside the static of the message, a faint second voice whispered, too soft for anyone to hear, "We are still here." The transmission ended. The mystery had just begun. The Threxian ship floated quietly above the grey earth. Inside, no one spoke. The ancient human message kept playing, line after line, word after word. Commander Zyron stood in front of the main screen, watching the flickering image of the human woman. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of sadness and pride. "This is the story of humanity," her voice said softly. "We lived, we loved. We made mistakes, but we always tried to be better." The crew listened. None of them had ever heard such a voice before. Threxians were logical, emotionless. Their speech was flat and perfect. But this voice, it carried feeling. Zyron felt something strange inside his chest, a weight he could not describe. He looked at his science officer, Taro, who was studying the signal. "Can you tell how old it is?" Zyron asked. Taro nodded slowly. "Based on radiation decay, at least 6,000 years. Kira, the sensor officer, whispered. "So they have been gone for 6,000 years. Zyron kept staring at the screen. "Play the rest." The hologram changed. Suddenly, bright colors filled the room. The recording showed images of Earth. Green forests, shining oceans, cities full of light. Human children laughed, people hugged each other. Rockets launched into the sky. The narrator continued. "We were dreamers. We wanted to touch the stars. We built ships, we built cities, we built hope." The crew leaned closer. Some of them had never seen such beauty. Kira smiled faintly. They were so alive. But then the tone of the message changed. The voice grew darker. The next image showed smoke, fire, and broken buildings. But we also fought. We hurt our world. We hurt each other. We forgot what made us human. The Threxians fell silent again. Taro muttered, "Why would they keep such things in their message? Why not only show their good side?" Zyron replied quietly, "Because they wanted to be remembered as real, not perfect." On the screen, the video showed people holding hands as cities burned behind them. A human child's voice said, "We are sorry, whoever you are." The words echoed like a whisper across the ship. Hours passed. The crew watched more of the message. It showed how humanity tried to fix their world, how they built machines to clean the skies, how they reached for peace. It showed scientists, artists, and explorers. The message was not just a warning. It was a story of hope, even after failure. At one point, a line appeared on the screen, written in Old Earth language. "We were not the first. We will not be the last." "Learn from us," Kira turned to Zyron. "Commander, do you think they were speaking to us?" Zyron did not answer right away. He looked out the window, where Earth floated like a silent tomb. "Maybe," he said finally. "Or maybe they were speaking to anyone who would listen." The message continued. "If you are hearing this, then you have found what we left behind, our memories, our voice. We may be gone, but our story lives." The hologram changed again. It showed stars spreading across the black sky. A human astronaut waved from a space station, smiling. "We wanted to be remembered not for how we died, but for how we dreamed." Zyron felt something stir inside him again, a feeling he could not name. It was not logic. It was not duty. It was something else, something human. After a long silence, the message faded into static. Only one final image remained, the blue planet Earth shining under the light of the sun. Then the words appeared on the screen. "To whoever finds this, carry our story forward." The recording stopped. No one moved. The quiet inside the ship was deep, almost holy. "Finally," Taro said softly, "Commander, what do we do with it?" Zyron took a deep breath. "We take it home. The Council must see this." Kira frowned. "They won't care, sir. They'll call it primitive data. Just another extinct race." Zyron looked at her sharply. "Then we will make them care." He turned back to the screen and replayed the final line again. "Carry our story forward." Those words echoed in his mind. As the ship rose higher above the planet, they could see the ruins of old human cities below, giant skeletons of steel and glass. The once blue oceans were now grey deserts, but even in their silence there was a strange beauty. Zyron whispered, "They are gone. Yet they still speak," Kira nodded. "Maybe their story is not finished yet." Zyron's eyes glowed softly as he watched the Earth disappear behind the stars. For the first time in his life, he felt inspired. In the background, the human voice repeated again, as if the planet itself was whispering, "We lived. We dreamed. Remember us." The Threxian ship turned and jumped into hyperspace, carrying the last message of humanity into the endless night. But deep inside the ancient Earth station, far below the ruins, another light blinked slowly to life. Another message, still waiting to be found. The mystery was not over. It had only just begun. The Threxian ship Voyager 9 returned home after a long journey through the stars. The crew was quiet. No one spoke much since they left Earth behind. The message of humanity still played inside their minds. Those human words, "Carry our story forward," refused to fade. Commander Zyron stood at the viewing deck, watching the glowing world of the Threxians come into sight. It was a perfect planet, clean, silent, and controlled. No emotions, no chaos, no war. The Threxian people lived by rules, not feelings. But now, something had changed. When the ship landed, Zyron immediately reported to the Council of Elders, the leaders of their world. The council chamber was a grand hall of silver and crystal, shining under cold white lights. 12 elders sat in a circle, their faces calm and expressionless. At the center, Zyron placed the small black data core that contained the human message. "This," he said firmly, "is what we found on the planet called Earth, the last words of a race called humanity." The eldest counselor, Elder Varon, tilted his head. "You bring us relics of a dead species, Commander. Why?" "Because they were not just another species," Zyron replied. "They were something more. You need to hear what they said." The elders exchanged quiet glances. Varon nodded. "Proceed." Zyron activated the recording. Once again, the human voice filled the chamber. "If you are hearing this, we are gone. We lived, we dreamed, we made mistakes. The hologram showed the human cities, the oceans, the wars, and finally the stars." The voice continued. "We wanted to be remembered not for our end, but for our hope." The image faded. Silence followed. One elder finally spoke. "They destroyed themselves," he said coldly. "That is the lesson. Emotion leads to ruin." "They were weak." Zyron shook his head. "No, they were strong. Even in their end, they left a message, not of hate, but of hope. That means something." Another elder leaned forward. "Hope? Commander, emotions like hope caused them to fight. They lost control. We Threxians survive because we do not feel." Zyron's voice grew stronger. "But what if survival is not enough? What if living without emotion is not really living?" The chamber went silent again. No one dared to speak. After the meeting, Zyron returned to his quarters. He sat alone, staring at the hologram of the human woman from the message. Her eyes seemed to look directly into his. He whispered to himself, "You changed something in us, didn't you?" Outside his window, the Threxian capital shined with cold perfection. Machines moved silently. People walked in lines. No laughter, no music, no color. But inside Zyron's ship, things were different now. The next day, Kira and Taro joined him in the command room. "The Council will not allow us to continue studying the message," Taro said. "They have ordered it archived, but locked away." Zyron frowned. "Locked away? After what we saw?" Kira nodded sadly. "They said it's dangerous. They think human emotion could corrupt us." Zyron looked down at the data core in his hands. "Maybe that's exactly what we need." Taro hesitated. "Commander, are you saying we should disobey orders?" Zyron's voice was quiet but steady. "Yes," Kira's eyes widened. "But why for them? For a dead race?" Zyron turned to face her. "They may be gone, but their dream is not. We can be what they wanted to become, explorers with hearts, not just machines." That night, Zyron and his small crew gathered secretly in the ship. They replayed the human message once more. The screen showed faces, laughter, and tears. Kira whispered, "I keep thinking about that line, 'We dreamed.' What does that mean?" "To dream." Zyron smiled faintly. "Maybe it means to imagine something better, even when the world is broken." For a long moment, no one spoke. They just watched the humans on the screen, their music, their art, their smiles. Zyron finally said, "We are not going to let this be forgotten." Taro looked nervous. "What will we do?" "We will build something," Zyron said. "A place where both logic and emotion can exist. A place inspired by them." Days later, rumors began to spread. Other Threxians had seen the human recordings too. Some felt the same strange pull. Curiosity, sadness, wonder. The council tried to stop it, but it was too late. The message had spread through the network. Every Threxian could now hear the words, "We lived. We dreamed. Learn from us." Something began to shift in their society. Workers started adding color to their buildings. Children began to draw shapes in the sand. For the first time in centuries, Threxians laughed. The elders were furious. "This must stop," Elder Varen ordered. "Emotions will destroy us." But Xiren only smiled. "Or maybe they will save us." That night, Xiren looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the memory of Earth still floated. He whispered softly, "Humanity, your story isn't over." "Not yet." As the wind blew across the Threxian towers, it carried a faint sound, like a distant human voice carried across light years. "We are with you." Xiren closed his eyes. He didn't know if it was real or just his imagination. But for the first time in his life, he didn't care. He felt, and that changed everything. Weeks passed on the planet Threxia, but things were no longer the same. The message of humanity had spread far and wide. At first, the Council of Elders tried to control it. They called it dangerous emotion and corruption of logic. But the message was too powerful. It had already taken root in the hearts of many. For the first time in thousands of years, the Threxians were feeling. Commander Xiren walked through the capital streets one evening and noticed small but beautiful changes. Where once every building was silver and plain, now there were colors, soft blues, golds, even red. Someone had painted a giant image of the human planet Earth on a city wall. Below it, the words glowed. "We dreamed." Children were humming strange tunes, copies of human music found inside the message archives. Scientists were studying human art, human poetry, human science. Xiren smiled quietly. For the first time, Threxia felt alive. But not everyone was happy. Inside the council hall, Elder Varen slammed his metal staff on the ground. His voice echoed through the chamber. "This must end. Our people are losing control. They are drawing pictures, singing, and wasting time on emotion." Another elder replied, "It is spreading faster than we can stop it." Varen's eyes narrowed. "Commander Xiren started this. He will answer for it." That night, Xiren was called to the council. "You have broken our laws," Varen said coldly. "You have poisoned the minds of our people with human ideas." Xiren stood tall. "I showed them the truth. Humanity may be gone, but their dream deserves to live." Varen stepped closer. "Their dream destroyed them, and now it will destroy us." Xiren met his gaze without fear. "No, Elder, their hate destroyed them. Their dream was to rise above it." The council chamber went silent. After a long pause, Varen spoke again. "You are removed from command. Surrender your ship." Xiren's heart ached, but he only nodded. "Now you can take my rank," he said quietly, "but you cannot stop an idea." He turned and walked away. Outside, the city was glowing with new lights. A group of young Threxians gathered near him. One of them, a student, who asked, "Commander, is it true? Did humans really love their world even after destroying it?" Xiren smiled softly. "Yes, they never stopped trying. And neither should we." He looked up at the stars. "We will build something in their honor, something that keeps their light alive." Over the next few months, Xiren and his small group of followers began a secret project far from the city. Deep in the desert, they called it the City of Light. It would be a new kind of place, not ruled by logic alone, but by balance. Machines and art together, science and heart together. They built statues of human explorers, gardens with alien flowers, and tall towers that reached for the stars, just as humans once did. Kira, now his closest friend, looked at the growing city and said, "It's beautiful. But the council will not let it stand." Xiren nodded. "Maybe not, but if it inspires even one generation, it will be enough." One night, as they worked, the skies above Threxia began to change. A strange red storm appeared on the horizon. Lightning crackled in silence. Tero ran to Xiren. "Commander, the readings are unstable. It's a cosmic storm. Massive energy from the outer rim. It's heading straight for us." Xiren looked at the sky. "How long do we have?" "Hours, maybe less." The storm was unlike anything they had seen. It pulsed with colors, strange and alive, like the universe itself was watching. Kira whispered, "It feels alive." Xiren's mind raced. He remembered a line from the human message. "When the end comes, let it find us still trying." He turned to his crew. "Prepare the archives. We'll protect the human message, no matter what happens." The storm hit with full force. The skies exploded with light. Energy waves tore through the sand and metal. Buildings shook. The city of light trembled. But its towers stood strong. Inside, Zyron's team worked fast, saving every piece of data, every recording, every note of human music they had preserved. Lightning flashed through the windows. Kira shouted over the roar, "The energy is too much. We can't hold it." Zyron pressed his hand to the control panel. "We have to try." A massive surge hit the power grid. The lights flickered, then died. The last thing Zyron saw was the hologram of the human woman, her gentle face glowing in the dark. Her voice whispered through the static, "Thank you for remembering." Then everything went black. Hours later, when the storm finally passed, the desert was quiet. The city was damaged but still standing. Kira opened her eyes slowly. "We made it," she whispered. Zyron stood beside her, looking at the rising sun. The storm had changed the desert. New crystals glowed in the sand, shining like stars. Taro scanned the readings. Strange. The energy left something behind. The human data. It's evolving. It's alive. Zyron smiled faintly. Maybe their story isn't just a memory anymore. He looked at the glowing horizon. The humans dreamed of leaving a mark on the universe, he said. And now they truly have. The wind carried the sound of faint human laughter, or maybe it was just the desert echoing the past. Either way, the Threxians knew one thing for certain. Humanity had changed them forever. The desert was quiet now. The storm had passed, leaving behind glowing crystals in the sand, broken towers, and the faint hum of energy that pulsed through the ruins of the City of Light. Commander Zyron stood at the highest tower, looking over what remained. The city had survived, but barely. His crew, Kira, Taro, and the others, were exhausted. Their clothes were torn, their hands covered in dust and burns, but they were alive, and more importantly, the human message had survived. Inside the main archive, Zyron and his crew checked the data cores. Every recording, every song, every piece of human art was intact. But something remarkable had happened. The message had begun to evolve. Taro's voice shook with awe. "It's changing. The data isn't just stored anymore. It's alive. The recordings are merging with our systems. They're adapting, almost like the humans are speaking to us, not just as echoes, but directly." Kira placed her hand on the glowing console. "They're teaching us, aren't they?" Zyron nodded. "Yes, humanity is showing us how to live, not just survive. We were meant to carry their dream forward." The Threxian elders arrived in the desert, but Zyron did not fear them. The storm had changed everything. Their rigid, emotionless society had been shaken. Now even the elders could not ignore what was happening. Elder Varon stepped forward, his expression softer than before. "Commander Zyron, what is this? How did this happen?" Zyron looked at him calmly. "This is humanity. Not their mistakes, not their wars, but their spirit. They left this message so that others could learn. And now they are teaching us." The counselors listened in silence as the hologram of the human woman flickered to life. Her voice filled the desert, clear and full of emotion. "To whoever finds this, live, dream, protect what matters. Carry our story into the stars." Even the elders felt it, a strange warmth, a feeling of hope and responsibility. Varon swallowed hard. They are not gone," Zyron smiled. "No, they never were." Over the next few weeks, the Threxians began rebuilding the City of Light, stronger and more beautiful than before. Machines and buildings were redesigned with colors, curves, and light. Gardens bloomed where only metal had stood. Music filled the air. The younger generation of Threxians ran through the streets laughing, creating singing, something unheard of in Threxia for centuries. Zyron watched from the tower. "They dreamed of leaving a mark on the universe," he said. "And now, we are helping them do it." Kira approached him, smiling. "Do you think other civilizations will find our work? Will they hear the human message too?" Zyron's eyes shone with determination. "They will. And they will change too. Humanity wanted that, for their story to never truly end." One night, Zyron stood alone at the edge of the desert. He activated the communicator and recorded a new message, a tribute to the humans who had inspired them all. "To whoever finds this, We were not the first to dream. Humanity showed us how. Their hope, their art, their spirit lives in us now. We will protect it. We will carry it forward. And we will teach others what it means to live and dream. He placed the recording in the archive alongside the human data. It was not just a memory anymore. It was a legacy, a message from the past to the future. The desert was calm and the stars above twinkled as if in approval. Somewhere far across the galaxy, the ruins of Earth silently reflected the same starlight. A faint human voice whispered across the cosmos, "We are still here." Zyron closed his eyes. For the first time he felt completely human, not in body but in spirit. He felt hope, love, pride, and dreams all at once. He opened his eyes and looked at the city of light. Children laughed. Music floated in the wind. Machines worked alongside gardens and art. Humanity's story had not ended with the extinction of their race. They had left a spark that had ignited the hearts of an entire alien civilization, and now the universe would never forget them. The camera pans out from the city of light, showing it glowing like a jewel on the barren desert. The stars above stretch endlessly, the human legacy traveling silently among them. A final echo of the human voice is heard one last time. We lived. We dreamed. Remember us. Fade to black. Title card appears. Aliens found humanity's last message and changed forever. HFY story. The story ends, but the dream continues.